Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Jay and welcome to the channel. Today we've got a bit of a different video for you guys. As you can see, this is probably for the first time for a lot of you, the first time you're actually seeing me in person. Which, so this is me, this is Jay, this is the person who's running this channel. So it's nice to, get to see all of you in person for the first time, though I'm clearly not seeing any of you. But as you might know, recently we did hit 1,000 subscribers on the channel, so I thought it'd be cool to answer some of your questions and, so you guys can get to know more about me, more about the channel, maybe learn a little bit more about my process and stuff like that. And at the end of the video, I'll show you kind of my setup, which is behind me at the moment, so you guys can get to know a little bit about what I have going on behind the scenes, really. So first off, we're going to answer some questions. I've got them all loaded up on my phone here. So first off, from the user ChipDip, congrats on hitting 1,000 subscribers. As for a question for the Q&A, what sparked your love for animals and for nature? Was it something from a very young age, or was it something you discovered as you grew older? So I grew up in Malaysia, and that's a very tropical country, very biodiverse. There's a lot of animals, there's a lot of greenery kind of everywhere. And I think that really did kind of spark my love for nature from a young age. I also had parents who were really into it. My dad and my mom both work kind of in the whole environmental industry, so there was a lot I learned about it from them. I used to have loads of animal encyclopedias. I was just obsessed with them. I used to run around my house trying to catch little geckos on the walls. They just absolutely loved animals from basically as soon as I popped into this world, I was obsessed with animals. So, it's not a big surprise I've ended up in the place that I have now. And yeah, it's just always been a thing. And I always used to spend loads of time in zoos and nature reserves as well, right from when I was a kid. We don't exactly have a great local zoo back where I grew up, but as I grew older, I experienced more of the other types of zoos. Like, I went to Singapore Zoo for the first time when I was 11, maybe 15, 14? I don't know. I visited it and it was a lot of fun, and I just love zoos like that. Next question from Dennis Vandeloo. That's a familiar name in the comments. You're always commenting. Thank you very much. Here's a question. How did you get into games like Planet Zoo, and how do you start playing games all together? So that's a good question. I wouldn't say that I played a lot of games as a kid. I discovered games like Zoo Tycoon and Zoo Tycoon 2 probably around the ages of 8, maybe 10, something like that, and I got really into them. And in Malaysia, it's really hard to find legitimate copies of these games, so you'd find them in these little pirated game stalls that'll sell these really dodgy discs. And that's how I found Zoo Tycoon, and I was really frustrated because I couldn't get the expansion for the longest time. I couldn't find the aquatic expansion for Zoo Tycoon 2, Marine Mania, and I was it was really frustrating. But eventually I moved over to the UK for university, and that's kind of when I rediscovered my love for games like that. I bought a little CD adapter thing, and I got an actual copy of Zoo Tycoon 2 and the first Zoo Tycoon as well, and just played them again. That was maybe 2016, 2017, got really into them again, and then suddenly I found out Planet Zoo was coming out, and I was very excited because I wanted a game like this for a good long time, and well, we finally had it, so that was really great. As far as other games go, I generally stick to two different genres. One is simulation games like Planet Zoo. I play a lot of City Skylines, which is a city building simulator. Jurassic World Evolution, which is, dinosaurs, of course. But yeah, I love games like those, but I also like big open world type games, things like Skyrim, The Witcher 3. I've recently been playing Horizon Zero Dawn. It's been really good. I also really enjoyed Control recently, which is a lot of fun. But yeah, let's move on to the next question. So here's a question from Izzy Uden. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong. Thanks so much for being a long-time supporter, by the way, Izzy. I know you've been watching my videos for a long time, and here in the comment you've mentioned you probably watch all of my videos, which is kind of crazy, so thank you very much. Here's a question. If I could bring back an extinct animal, what would it be? That's a good question. So my favorite extinct animal is, of course, the Spinosaurus. For those of you who don't know, I've got a tattoo of a Spinosaurus on my arm right there. And They're my absolute favorite extinct animal. I love Spinosaurus as a dinosaur. They're just one big old weirdo, and that's kind of why I love them. It's so cool, but it probably isn't the most practical animal to bring back from the dead, so I would say there's this crocodilian called Simosuchus, which is an extinct crocodilian. It was only about 1 meter long, so about the size of like most dogs, but it had like a face like a pug, like, you know, the really cute dogs. They would make amazing pets, I think, and they're probably vegetarians too, which is really cool. So probably those dudes. Here's a question from the user Leviathan, also another long-time viewer of the channel, and also one of my mods on the Discord server. So thanks for always being really supportive, and really glad to have you on the team. Also, question from you: what do you plan on doing as a profession when you graduate? I'm curious what sort of job you have in mind, and does it relate to any of the Planet Zoo type stuff? That's a really good question. So for those of you who don't know, I'm currently in London doing a master's in science communication. Before this, I did an undergraduate degree in biological sciences. So I've always been really into science, but it's only been the past couple of years that I've realized I'm really into talking about science more than I am doing the science. So I would love a job that kind of blends that together with my love for animals, zoos, institutions like that. So that kind of vibe, basically. I would love to do documentaries. That would be really cool. Could work in a museum. That would be fun. Or, of course, in a zoo. I would love to do some kind of like educational work in a zoo, you know, where I talk to people about the animals and stuff. Who knows where I'm going to go with it, but right now doing this master's, I think it's been a great decision. I'm learning so much more about the field, and I'm just really interested to see where it takes me. But, you know, whatever happens, I'll always keep you guys updated. So, yeah. Next up, we've got 3 questions from the Honest Wrestling Observer. That's an interesting username. I'm going to go through your questions backwards. So first up, if you could bring an animal back from extinction, which would you choose? So we just did that, but I'll answer it again because I want a second option. And it'll probably be like some sort of small Maniraptoran, like Microraptor or Yichi. Like these sort of like really cute, tiny like raptors. They're just adorable and fluffy, and they would make such great pets, I think. So that would be pretty cool. Next up, if you could save one critically endangered animal from extinction, which would it be? Their suggestion is the Kordofan giraffe, which is a pretty cool one. That's not a giraffe subspecies I'm familiar with, but that is very cool. I would probably go with either the kakapo, which are these really adorable fat flightless parrots. They're bright green and they're just the cutest thing, but unfortunately they are critically endangered. Or the gharial. You guys already know that I really do love the gharial as a species. I use it all the time in my Planet Zoo builds. They're just a really interesting species, and unfortunately, again, critically endangered, so would love to hopefully save them from extinction. And finally, if you could make a pack for Planet Zoo, which 5 animals would you include? And they'd have to fit into the current mechanics of the game. So I've been really thinking about this, and I think the game is missing lots of round, fluffy animals. So things like wombats, capybaras, quokkas, maybe some palace cats. That would be, I think, my pack of my choice. And maybe like a small mammal for like the exhibits. Maybe like a prairie mouse or something like that, or a harvest mouse. Those dudes are pretty cool, so yeah. Next up, so here's a question from Ian Peter Horst. If you could make your own pack, which animals would you have in it? Again, kind of a similar question, but this time there's no restrictions. So if I had no restrictions, I'd probably make some sort of Southeast Asian pack. Maybe sun bears, false gharials would be pretty cool. Clouded leopards, fishing cats, those guys are very cool. And maybe a bird of some sort. We don't have many birds in the game. Maybe something like a greater hornbill or a rhinoceros hornbill. Really cool animals. And yeah, just would love more Southeast Asian animals in general, because that's where I grew up, and there's plenty of really cool animals back there. Even if, you know, just to go beyond the 5 animal things, there's so many others. There's like the Bornean dwarf elephants, dugongs are a thing. You know, we've just got such crazy biodiversity. It'd be a shame not to include some of these animals. Proboscis monkeys with the big nose, those dudes are really fun. So any of those really. Next up, so here's a question from Salty Croc. Nice. Which next zoo do you have in mind? So I imagine you're asking what sort of zoo I would do next. So Unfortunately, right now I'm focusing primarily on my two current zoo builds, so that's Sannikov Land and October Lake. Sannikov Land, of course, has been going on for a really long time, and October Lake is brand new. And I want to kind of focus a lot on those two, but if I were to do a new one, it'll be sometime in the future, but it will be in a biome I'm less familiar with. So like a desert biome or a grassland biome, or maybe even the tundra biome, which would be quite interesting. So here's a question from Coach Abe. Do you plan on continuing your Sannikov Land series? I do actually, and I'll probably continue it relatively soon, but right now I am focusing on the October Lake build because that's quite a lot of fun and we're using a lot of animals and stuff from the new aquatic pack. Next up we have a question from Space Chicken. Cool username. When Prehistoric Kingdom comes out, will you make a series on it? So for those of you who don't know, Prehistoric Kingdom is a game very much like Planet Zoo, but with extinct animals instead of extant animals. So yes, absolutely. That's a game I've been waiting for years. I've been kind of following its development. It looks kind of incredible, and all the animals are, really realistic. They're kind of treating them like real animals, which is a big change from games like Jurassic World Evolution, where the dinosaurs are more like theme park attractions, so to speak. So yeah, definitely. Let's see, 2 more questions. Here's a question from Cedric. How did you start your channel and who inspired you to do this? So I started the channel back in, was it December? It was shortly after Planet Zoo came out, but also right as I was kind of entering into lockdown back in my country when the pandemic started. So I really didn't have much to do. I really didn't have much to do at all. So my daily routine became, I'll wake up, get on my computer, play some Planet Zoo, record some Planet Zoo, and then edit into a video. So I did have a full-time job briefly as well, but then again, pandemic kicked in, so just had a lot more time to do that. So yeah. As far as inspirations go, I don't have any one specific ones. There are a lot of content creators on YouTube that I watch that do Planet Zoo videos or just simulation games and have really cool builds. There's a lot of big ones. Silverette, for example, he does great work. Rudy Venkamel, Afghan Wolf. There's so many great creators, basically. I can't have the time to list them all, but there were loads of people who inspired this kind of process, and yeah, they're all great. So yeah. Final question here is from Nebulae. Was your channel just a random combination of words, or was there some sort of inspiration behind it? So of course my channel name is Hypothetically Jay. My name is Jay. As far as the hypothetically bit came, where that comes from is a combination of a couple things. I kind of wanted a sciencey sounding name, and also it's kind of a reference to one of my favorite songs, which is called Hypotheticals by Ida Victor, and it's a really great song. I'll put down a link to it in the description. Really love that song. But yeah, that's kind of where it came from. In hindsight, probably should have chosen a username with slightly fewer syllables because it is a little bit of a mouthful, but hey-ho, that's kind of what we got to work with. So here's just a brief look at my setup. So as you can see, this is my PC. It is in an NZXT H1 case, which has been modded through the use of some braces I ordered online from Devoid3D on Etsy. I'll leave the link in the description. And it's a great case, very small form factor, and it houses all my components pretty well. So in there we've got an AMD CPU, that's the Ryzen 3 3700X, I believe. And then we have the Gigabyte Eagle OC RTX 3070 graphics card. Over here we have my monitor. Over there it's a Dell P2421. It's a long numbered name. The link to that will be in the description. Just my peripherals here. I've got a wireless mouse and keyboard, just some basic ones, a USB hub, my speakers, and my new microphone, which is from Fifine. And on top of the monitor, if you saw just a second ago, I just got a Logitech Stream Cam, so I would be quite keen to start streaming at some point. Here's my old Dell XPS 15 laptop, which I've been using for the past few years. It has served me well, but I'm very glad to have a full PC now. Here's just quick shot of me kind of taking off the cover of the PC so you can have a quick look inside and see what the graphics card and stuff looks like. Just very keen on this case. It makes assembling the PC super easy. Would highly recommend for anyone who's starting out building a PC. It's my first PC build, and this case made it a breeze. So yeah, that's my setup tour. Thanks so much for watching. Just want to say I do apologize. I know the lighting has been terrible throughout this video, but I hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. And now I'm just gonna go back to me live doing the outro. Okay, so that was a little tour of my setup. I hope you guys enjoyed kind of figuring out what I have behind the scenes, my kind of specifications of my PC and stuff like that. And I do hope you've just enjoyed this video and hope you've got to know me a little bit better. This is now, you know what I look like, you know a little bit more about my process and a little bit more of my thoughts behind some of these questions. So just want to say again, thanks so much for the 1,000 subscribers. That really does mean a lot to me. This is just a little fun hobby of mine, but it's nice that we have so many people watching and getting on board with this. Yeah, big thank you to all of you. If you like this video, please do leave a like, and of course subscribe for more Planet Zoo and other content. And yeah, I will see you all in the next one. Bye!